I work in the ER and I see a lot of people at the end of their disease process a lot of
Yeah.
times. They're already obese, they already have diabetes, some have their amputated toes or foot or
Yes.
some sort of horrible disease process, or they're going in and out of the hospital. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what a horrible way to live this one limited finite life that you have.
Truly.
And then I had, of course, I love learning, and I had a little bit, I went down on my shifts when I got pregnant, just because like that ER life was just really hard when you're fully pregnant.
Oh
So I
yeah.
then started, I've always been doing this obesity medicine, functional medicine training, but I was able to really dive in and just really enjoyed it, loved the physiology behind it, the science behind it. I'll be honest, I was probably not a hater, but like the realm of like, oh, these GLPs, like blah, blah, blah. And then, not so much like where I judged people, but per se, but I was a little skeptical at first. I think a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And then as I learned the physiology behind them, I was like, wow, these are amazing, and people should try these because they are life changing.
So feel me when I bring it, sing it loud. I'm from the loot and I'm proud. Run a mile for the cause. I'm right.
Hi guys, it's your girl Nakama, your favorite Jew from the Lou. Welcome back to my podcast. And today I am so excited to be here with Dr. Priyanka from MOOV. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I
Yeah,
was so excited to do this, and I'm glad we get to be in the clinic doing it,
I
getting IVs. So
know.
that's really awesome.
This is one of my favorite things to do is if my guest has a different space, I like to just kind of be like that. You never know where I'm going to show up next. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
honestly, this has got to be one of the most unique ones because we're hooked up to IVs.
Yes.
I will show some bloopers so people can see where
Yeah.
I'm just like not looking and hoping for the best because like it wasn't painful at all. It's just I think visually the concept of an IV freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, you know that you're in great hands. Like everyone
Yes.
that works here is an amazing nurse. The person that started your IV, his name is Wilson. He's an ER nurse. I've known him for years working in the ER. Fantastic person. I would trust him with my life, my loved one's life. So everyone that works here is someone that's like very reputable, someone that I would trust. Thus I would trust for, my clients and people that come here.
Yeah. Let's take a moment to discuss what RIV is today so
Okay.
people know because I'm sure they're curious. Like, it's not just for the gram. Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. So I've personally just have been running around trying to get this place started. I'm a new mom. So I've just not been prioritizing as much as I should my health and hydration. So I was actually looking forward to this. So what we're getting is performance and recovery.
Mm-hmm.
It's an IV that has just really good natural ingredients that your body needs. So in fact, if you're like working out really hard, or especially after travel, you know how depleted you feel after travel.
Yes.
Whatever it may be, just life gets in the way and you just need that boost.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great IV. It's very safe. We make it here in house. We use, the state of the art, uh, clean environment. We have a hood, which is even better than what is actually even recommended or needed. So it creates a very like one-way flow. And it's awesome. It's great. And obviously I love it so much. I get it myself. And you just feel fantastic after. You feel um renewed, rejuvenated. And then it helps you then kickstart getting back to prioritizing yourself.
Yeah.
Like when you're already feeling low, you're like, the last thing you want to do is eat healthy or make food. But after something like this, you're like, all right, let's go. Let's go shopping. Let's get this done. And so it just makes you, I feel like, be able to take care of yourself better, like give yourself the resources to do so.
Yeah. And I think this is like the perfect segue for our conversation today because I love the space that the world is in right now with health and wellness, where it's not just traditional medicine anymore. And I think, especially as women, we are so busy all the time that having something like this, like recovery, is so beneficial for us. It's not cheating to take care of yourself and to do something like this, you know? And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we punish ourselves. We're like, just drink more water, you know?
hmm
Sometimes you need a little bit of a boost to help you get back to where you need to be.
Yeah. I mean, oral hydration is so important. And like, I'm a huge proponent of also people working out, eating healthy. But there are times you just need that extra boost. And the thing that kind of also made me kind of motivated for this is that that boost should not only be for people that are celebrities. Like, it's not like this stuff doesn't exist. It exists, but for certain clientele. And I
Yeah.
really want to be able to bring it to as many people as possible and make it where they can receive it in with the physician, with the nurse, like not some, weird place where you don't really trust them. Because I think everyone deserves to feel their best and have access to this stuff. So that was like another motivator because it's not like this stuff doesn't exist. It exists everywhere. You go to Beverly Hills, you go to Las Vegas, it's everywhere. But I was like, St. Louis could use something like this where it is someone that you trust. You shouldn't be punished for like traveling and then coming back and now feeling terrible for days. Like, no, just come get IV infusion. You're going to feel better in literally an hour, you know?
Yeah, I would say that's true. It does feel like something that only like the elite and uber wealthy can receive, but honestly, anybody, as long as you find like the right practitioner,
Yeah.
anybody should be able to have that as a resource
Yeah,
because we all deserve to feel our best,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
So going back to your credentials, and you're an ER physician.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about what drew you into the medical fields and how we ended up here sitting and move.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I love science. I remember the first time I learned about mitochondria in AP high school biology. I was like so fascinated that like this little organelle that has its own DNA takes in oxygen, makes ATP, and then you tear off an ATP, and that's how you get everything in your body made. And I was like fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And it came to me so easily, like science was so easy to me. And then it drew me to medicine because of my interest in it. And then I started exploring, I started medical school and then I was like, oh, I really also enjoy emergency medicine. I've always enjoyed working with people and helping people. Like I always knew I would go into that. But emergency room is something that you help everyone without worrying about insurance. You
Mm.
help people that are little kids, babies, older, every generation. You can treat a drug addict that's like, down on their luck, and then the next patient is like this uber well-off person, but they get the same treatment and they get the same respect and you take care of them the same. So like that part really drew me. Like that to me is like what's cool about medicine. And I want to also be like ER is one of those places you feel like a camaraderie with the people there. Like no
Yeah.
other field, I don't think you like are super close to the nurses or the techs or the phlebotomists or the, secretaries. Like in a good place, like you feel like family because sometimes it feels like a war zone, like some of the stuff
Oh, in
that's
the
going on.
ER for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin's an ER nurse. So she's like, her name is Nahama also.
So nice.
And that means comfort. And she describes her
Oh,
personality as like the eye of the hurricane. Because she's like, it's so chaotic. And like you, she thrives in that kind of environment. So you probably have the most amazing stories because you never know what's going to come through.
yeah. And I'm always very thankful. Like I approach every patient, like I'm thankful that God put me in a place that I can have this direct impact with that person. It's not lost on me that most people's worst day is my regular day
Oh,
when I'm in
wow.
the ER. And I think that's how everyone feels when they work there. Like you don't want to be there. There's people that unfortunately do abuse the system, but it is quite small in the minority depending on which place you work at. But so I try to just stay in a realm of like gratefulness and thankfulness. And that's why I don't personally see myself ever not working in the ER,
Yeah.
no matter what, because it does ground me. It makes me feel very thankful. It makes me understand the gravity of medicine and science and why I'm personally feel like I'm on this earth. Like I enjoy every interaction that I have. And I always learn something new from people all the time. Like there's some patients, my favorite ones are the old married couples, and I'm like
Yeah.
suturing them and I talk to them about, just their life or like some skateboarder that fell off and I talk to him about his interests. And it's just cool to get to know people's stories. I'm sure you'd relate to that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's literally why I do what I do
Yeah.
because everyone has a story. And I just wanted to document it because I think so many of us go through life thinking, like, oh, I'm nobody. My story isn't that cool. I'm not that interesting. And I'm like, you're just used to yourself. You don't realize how awesome you are. And people learn so much from you in ways that you may not even expect. So taking the time to even just do these deep, meaningful conversations literally just brushes the surface of who you are. But I think it's so great for people to like understand who you are, why you choose what you do, what sets your soul on fire. It's really fascinating, you
That's a
know?
cool phrase. You're just used to who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good phrase. Yeah, I'll use that. That's good.
because you're insane in the best way
Thanks.
possible. But like, here you are, you're a new mom, right? Your baby's what, 8 months old?
9 months
9 months.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
congrats. You
you.
know, like you are still postpartum, right? And you're also, you're a mom, you're married, you're an ER physician, and now here you are taking on starting up Move.
Yeah, and that came about because I work in the ER and I see a lot of people at the end of their disease process a lot of
Yeah.
times. They're already obese, they already have diabetes, some have their amputated toes or foot or
Yes.
some sort of horrible disease process, or they're going in and out of the hospital. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what a horrible way to live this one limited finite life that you have.
Truly.
And then I had, of course, I love learning, and I had a little bit, I went down on my shifts when I got pregnant, just because like that ER life was just really hard when you're fully pregnant.
Oh
So I
yeah.
then started. I've always been doing this obesity medicine, the functional medicine training, but I was able to really dive in and just really enjoyed it, loved the physiology behind it, the science behind it. I'll be honest, I was probably not a hater, but like the realm of like, oh, these GLPs, like blah, blah, blah. And then, not so much like where I judged people, but per se, but I was a little skeptical at first. I think a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And then as I learned the physiology behind them, I was like, wow, these are amazing and people should try these because they are life changing. And I actually just spoke to a friend yesterday who was like, this is the least amount I've ever drank alcohol in my life.
Amazing.
She's like, I've lost 40 pounds. I've never felt so good in my life.
That
And
is life-changing weight.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she's just happy. She's in her new relationship. She feels confident. She feels comfortable in her body, and I think like why would you ever judge or shame someone for making positive changes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two aspects to GLP specifically, and that's what I'm so excited to talk to you about because there's so much content relevant
Hmm.
right now. Some of it is professional, most of it is not. And then obviously people have had good and we hear a lot of bad experiences with GLPs. One thing everyone knows is you'll lose weight, right? You're
Hmm.
gonna get skinny, if you will, if you go on the GLP. It's the side effects that people are so nervous about.
Yeah.
And also, like, especially from the Jewish world, the Orthodox Jewish world, GLPs are like shoved down your throat. Like they're giving them away at raffles. They are
Wow.
saying, like, people are looking at it from the perspective of you don't need to change your lifestyle. Here's this magic pill. We finally found it. Here you are. A lot of people are not administering it through like a physician and they're not figuring out for their body like what they should do. Maybe they're not microdosing. So I was hoping in this conversation a little later on, I want to go into like all the nitty gritty. But first, I want to find out more about Move because it's not just yours
Hmm.
own like clinic. This is more of a bigger project going on in the US.
Yeah.
So let's
So
talk about how you got into that.
yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
great. So when I left residency, I was looking for a group that I can join, a
Hmm.
physician group that felt good to me, that felt like they had good practices, and that's how I found Vituity. And it's the group that my husband and I both work at. It's physician owned, and they don't take like outside. There's no loans or capital or things like that. It's not a group that has like weird practices, and it's one of the groups that even during rough times they took care of their physicians. Like I was part of EMRA, which is Emergency Medicine Residents Association, and I would always hear these kind of background noise about other groups, but the one I didn't hear bad things about was Vituity. So I joined Vituity and, I'm an ER physician through there and I'm considered a partner. So I vote in decisions. It's not like things are said to me. I feel very much part of that conversation and I feel empowered to also speak up when I don't feel like something that's happening is poorly done, which is really nice. So they have an arm, which is the transformation arm. So that's like, medicine's always changing, transforming, and one of their transformation kind of like pathways is MOOV, which is wellness medicine and like understanding our place in it. Because what we're noticing is that this space is kind of sometimes feels like it's overrun by non-physicians
Yeah.
and by people that have some knowledge but not good science backing to it. And there's some weird practices at times. So MOOV wants to challenge that, wants to put well-trained physicians in an environment where they can take care of patients and clients and be able to offer real evidence-based, science-backed resources and provide medications and support to have the outcome that you want. I'm thankful to be part of it. They've provided really good support. I also feel like I have the autonomy to be able to make the protocols that I need to make as long, it's part of it's science based and evidence backed. So I like that I have the autonomy to do what is correct and price it appropriately for St. Louis. Obviously, there's a location in LA, there's location in more expensive areas, but I can also price it and run it in a way that I feel like it's appropriate for the place that I'm at. Um, so that part has been amazing. They're great for, they've been great for support. For instance, the medication that we get, it's nice to know that they have already done the compliance and the
Yeah.
background checks and they tell, like all that other legal stuff that needs to be taken care of is taken care of by someone that is has locations all across the United States. So it's like you have the personality and the personnel and the warmth of like a mom and pop shop with the expertise and the knowledge and the backing and the compliance and the legal standing of a national company.
Right, which is also great for you because I was not aware of Move before I had met you.
Yeah,
And so I thought it was so clever, but I was just like, thought you had done all the branding and all that. So it's nice to like have those sister companies, if you
hmm
will, because I'm sure the other physicians in the other locations, you guys collaborate, discuss,
100%.
and then
Yeah,
like can be very growth oriented. So there's already this community. You're not trying to dive in into an area that's like, it is well researched, but it's like, how do you jumpstart
exactly.
yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been nice. I have a like a mentor mentee relationship. It's
Nice.
nice because we can all discuss, hey, this is what I'm trying. This is a new thing. Because think about wellness space, it's always evolving,
Yeah, it
right? Like
is.
there's always change. So you want to be part of that conversation. You want to stay fresh. So it's nice. And I'm thankful to have colleagues that are able to provide that, like, hey, check out this article. Hey, check out this new thing that I did. Oh, this person just came out with this new research and check out this
That's
study.
so fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing like when there's like a specific area that you love to nerd out about, and
hmm
then you have colleagues who are also that way. That's how I am with coffee. Like
Yeah.
anytime there's someone in the coffee community who I meet, I'm just like, wait, I'm so excited. Like, can we
Yeah.
talk?
Yeah.
And then like hearing all the little nitty-gritty details that like the average user would not care about. But I'm like, yeah, what's new? Are the prices like how are you adjusting to this
Mhm.
economy? How are you getting through like these slow seasons? How are you growing and connecting?
Yeah.
It's always really fun. Okay.
Yeah. And, like it's not just GLPs. We offer a lot of things. And that's what's nice about Move too, because I have all these resources to be able to pull a lot of things in.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to start with are GLPs, including microdose option to decrease inflammation, peptides, Samorelin, and I have IV fluids, intramuscular injections to kind of like wellness boosters, like B12 shots, make people feel amazing because it gives your
Yeah.
body that substrate that it needs. Evolved. So every person that starts anything with me, they start with the body composition.
I did it.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It's so neat to see the insight
Yeah.
that it gives you.
You know what? I had done like similar type of scales where you put your feet on there and it does like a full body scan,
Mhm.
but I've never done anything that in depth to the point where it even told me for my body type, like how many calories
Mhm.
in terms of like how much protein, how much carbs. I
Yeah.
was like, that's next level because
Yeah.
every body is so unique. And like for me personally, my weight loss journey has been really frustrating because like all the nutritionists, different doctors. I remember when I was like, because I've been overweight since I was 9, and I'm 29, so it's been 20 years that I've been like trying literally everything under the sun, and like I've had seasons of success, I would say, but I've never fully gotten successful. It's just
Yeah.
more of like it hasn't been as bad. Maybe I'll put it that way, you
Yeah.
know? So I'm very excited to start on this journey with you and do microdosing because I feel like with your background as an ER physician, like just who you are as a person, like how caring you are, I feel
Oh,
like confident that I'm in good hands.
yeah.
And but I remember I had one doctor who like their advice for me being overweight was they told my mom to take off the chicken skin on chicken. That was it. That was the whole advice.
And it's sad because that's actually not it's not the fat, it's the sugar and it's like how your body turns, like up and down inflammation that you feel
Yeah.
into inappropriate fat. And different people metabolize sugar differently. Different
But
people
also
metabolize fat differently.
chicken
So,
skin? Well,
of
as
all things,
as a 12-year-old girl,
yeah.
like
How much chicken skins are you eating,
literally,
for it
I'm
to make
like,
an
I'm not
impact?
eating chicken like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, okay,
Yeah.
that was a choice, you know?
I think as a medical community, we've come a long way in nutrition um learning too.
Yes.
So, like we're humans too. Like I think every most doctors do care. I really do believe that. Like a lot of doctors care. But I think our education is so focused on acute illness because we do have to learn how to take care of people when they're really ill that maybe there's not as much into nutrition, but I think it's swung the other way and there's been a lot of people getting really into nutrition,
Yeah.
training as physicians, which is good.
Yeah, I think, a lot of it goes back to my father because he was an older dad,
Yeah.
right? He was 50 when I was born, so he was already starting to have health issues from a young age. Type 2 diabetes runs on both sides of my family. And I remember just a lot of the health issues that he had, I felt were from poor lifestyle choices, which when it's your loved one is really hard to watch because it's
Mhm.
not like God forbid something like cancer, which, to some degree you can't control.
Mhm.
There's certain variables that you can control to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's really what got me inspired to want to take action. But it's just been super frustrating to like not be able to understand why my body is not working. So I think the fact that there are physicians like you and clinics like this where you can really, from a biological understanding, figure out through labs
Mhm.
and through this like eVolt scan, like what is happening from
Yeah.
the inside out, and then custom tailoring that nutrition plan, that fitness plan. And then also even with the GLPs, the check-ins once a week to like kind of see where are things going and
Yep.
adjust and not just be like, here's a shot to your house. Good luck. Hope you
Yep.
lose the weight, you know?
Exactly. Because another thing we do is also VO2 max that I want to make sure I mention.
Yeah.
It's huge in like the wellness longevity community because it actually shows you how much mitochondria, what I talked to you about, is in your
Yeah.
body. So how much your body's able to use the energy that it has. So one of the issues with GLPs is that people will lose weight, but they're inappropriately losing muscle because
Mm,
people are not getting counseled on how much protein to intake and resistance training and strength training, which are so important for women, especially because as we age, we have a higher risk for osteoporosis. So that's another reason I start everyone with the Evolt and with the VO2.
so the longevity community is also so fascinating to me. I have listened ad nauseum
Hmm.
to so many podcasts about
Yeah.
that. But again, that felt like one of those things where it's like celebrities, the elite of society, like, they say Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, must be nice for those who can afford to just see that, that's what they say, the new wealthy, like society, they're not so focused on materialism. They're more focused on longevity. And
100%.
that
Yeah.
is like the new thing that everyone's into, right? Everyone has a sauna in their
Yeah.
home. They've got the cold
Yeah.
plunges. They're doing like the VO2, they're doing the IVs, right?
What's really cool about even besides being in Move is being part of this Ready to Live community is that you have, Will and Pete that are part of this whole complex, and you have Jenna that does Pilates and Josh that does cold plunge and sauna. And it's all very like, it's all things that you can go to and it's not priced very, very high. Like they're all
No.
appropriate. So people can try those things. So it's not just for the elite. It's for people that are truly wanting to just make a difference in their life and um, want to try things that make them feel good and live longer and healthier.
Life is fast, but every now and then you deserve a pause. a moment that's just for you.
At Le Café, we believe that each cup of coffee should taste like a little bit of luxury. Handcrafted and locally roasted here in St. Louis, each of our single origin beans are carefully selected to give you the most unique and smoothest experience. Whether you like a light, medium, or dark roast, we got you. For those busy mornings, or for my coffee lovers who prefer efficiency, we also have K-Cups. So go ahead and pour yourself a cup that tastes like self-care. Visit www.lecafe.us to bring the cafe experience home. Le Café, you deserve it. Yeah. And like because it is appropriately priced, it's still like a financial decision that everyone has to
Mhm.
make, but like in the long run, I could tell you personally from like my father and watching how his life progressed and the health bills and stuff. Thank God he was a veteran and the VA covered a lot because we would be like drowning in medical bills if it
Yeah.
weren't for the VA and all that it covers.
100%. That's such a good point because, like, people don't understand that if you don't take your life seriously, you have one body. Like, you have to make sure you're decreasing inflammation, sleeping better, eating well.
Yes.
And
Yep.
part of that is also understanding what's going on. So that's why the eVolt and the VO2 is great. I would just implore people to just get the diagnostics done. You don't have to do anything else with me.
Yeah.
Just come in, get the diagnostics done. From what I understand, there's really no other place in St. Louis that actually offers a VO2. And I also have a 1 hour deep dive into your VO2. So you actually sit down with your results and you go through every single line and you understand it and you understand exactly where your zone training is and everything, which is
So
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, I mean, this is all super fascinating, but
Hmm.
like, how do you have the time? Because you're a mom and you're an ER physician and you travel, you live between two cities. How do you have time for all of that? And then like, what was it about Move that you decided to start this clinic in the first place?
I just go based on what feels right and what fascinates me. And I always check, like, what are my intentions behind it? And if I like my intentions, I go for it. So my intentions behind this, as I started learning more about it, was like, man, like a lot of people can use these medications. Man, a lot of people can use the counseling on nutrition. Man, a lot of people can really benefit from this. And I was like, this was supposed to, I was going to do this myself and it was just supposed to be an IV infusion clinic and eye medications. That's what I was going to start with. And then I started doing the obesity and the functional medicine training, and I was like so fascinated. And it's actually made me a better ER doctor. I
Wow.
think because instead of just being like, your labs are fine, go home, I'm like, hey, your labs are fine here in the ER because my job is to make sure you're not actively dying. But these are the things that could be going on that you need a deeper dive in.
Wow.
And because I have this more additional knowledge now. So people, or I'll say things like, tell me about your diet. Tell me about your sleep. Tell me about your caffeine intake. Tell me about your drug use. Like, so it's more holistic. It's become a lot of
Yeah.
like conversations, which has given me a better also sense of happiness when I'm in the ER. So because I'm not giving people just no solutions sometimes. In terms of time, I think I just when I find something fascinating, I just make the time. So for instance, I use every minute that I can. So I drive between Indiana and Missouri. So during my drives, I used to listen to like just whatever podcast. Now I listen to functional medicine podcasts so that I'm always at the cutting edge and I'm always learning something.
So cool.
And I'm listening to like different lectures on, our functional medicine has a society, it's called A4M. On their website, I just like to listen to different podcasts or different conferences. What's new out there? What more can I offer people? So I just try to even in the shower, sometimes I'll just listen to like a good YouTube video that, and I'll get out and I'll be like telling my husband, like, guess what I just learned? Like, did you know this percent of the population lacks this enzyme and thus they can't convert this into active ingredient and that's why blah blah blah. I mean, it just gives you such an insight to science and medicine, which brings back to like the original point on why I went into medicine in the first place, which is I love science.
Yeah.
That like every person metabolizes and functions just slightly differently.
It's true.
And you want to take that time to figure out their nuance. Yes, I'm very thankful for antibiotics. I'm thankful for chemo medications, all these like acute care drugs. Fascinating. I understand they're like one size fits all. But in terms of wellness stuff, we can try to try to tweak that and figure out what works for some people uniquely, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I just find it fascinating, and I end up, when I'm with my daughter, I'm fully present. I put my phone away and I'm there and I'm just fully present. When she's sleeping, I utilize that time to learn. Like, I don't think I've really sat down to watch a movie in a very long time. So any free time I have, I'm usually like studying or doing something, or if my husband and I are hanging out, like I try to be very present. But if we're just watching a movie, I'll just be like reading something on my phone. Or just like thinking about what I want to do to get this clinic running. For a long time, it was just, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z to get this place started. But it doesn't feel like work per se because I'm like passionate about it and it's
Yeah.
fun.
I see that passion. And
Yeah.
I think that's so cool because if you think about like movies, doom scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, all the brainless rot that we all do to a certain extent, mostly it's because it's an escape, it's a numbing mechanism. But like, how beautiful is it that you live a life that you are so passionate about and so intrigued by that you quite literally are always wanting to learn more? So cool, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to put it. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And it's funny because even when I scroll now, it's like I'm trying to figure out how to make reels because
Yeah. You're
I
learning.
I'm learning.
You're always learning.
I'm always learning, and content creation has not been my forte by any means. So I'm now like trying to learn how to put myself on social media, and because that's also important to get just outreach.
And it's a learning curve
It's a learning curve. So it's fun. I mean, I get to meet people like you, have conversations with people from all walks of life. I mean, CrossFit is very different than people in the ER.
for sure.
So it's been fun because they're so passionate about health and fitness, and they actually also keep me on my toes because I want to make sure I'm right there at the cutting edge of everything so I can keep up with conversations with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's so much in this world to learn. And it's like, it's really cool that you found your niche, but you're continuing to expand that niche at the same time, you know?
Yeah, I've always joked that like if I never had to work, I would do the exact same thing. Like if
Oof.
this like if we for if I won like a bajillion dollars or something like that,
Yeah.
I think my life would actually not change too much because
That's a blessing.
yeah, because really truly like being an ER doctor. Even on tough days, I'm thankful for the opportunity to use my hands to help someone, to fix them, to use my brain to try to figure out what's going on immediately, for the camaraderie that I feel with my nurses and my techs. And I love doing Move, and I like, my life outside of it. I love being a mom, I love being a wife. So like I hope to continue this for as long as I can and hopefully do a good job, and be able to expand and make a difference.
You are. I mean, I know you are already with me because it's like, I feel like for the first time, like, even though we are like barely scratching the surface, just the way that you're going about it is so different. Because, like, for example, this isn't like, your general doctor or your general practitioner, but like my gynecologist, when I was like in my early 20s, I remember telling her that, like, I was feeling depressed and I was feeling low energy and all these things. And instead of asking me about my nutrition and my sleep and my hydration and my just mental health in general, she's like, "Oh, you might want to consider going on birth control. That might help." That was her solution to have me go on the pill.
Yeah, I think that's just unfortunately a place in medical school that they can improve on, and I think they are with that whole holistic look. I think, like I said, I think all doctors do have a good heart, but I think the way that we're trained is so focused on like acute, hey, this is the illness, this is how you fix it, rather than conversations. And I was definitely part of that. Like, I'm not above anyone. Like, I'm just thankful for the holistic space for kind of opening my eyes to a different conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes you more
but
well-rounded.
yeah, but I do, I never want to also talk poorly about any other physician because I think they just don't have the opportunity to see this other expanded side, just because of how we're trained. And to be honest, you have such a finite amount of time in medical school, and you have to cover the things that will kill someone.
Mm,
And I think there's just not enough space to cover the things that take someone that's not actively dying, but maybe make them a little bit better, if that makes
that
sense.
does make sense. Yeah.
Because there's so much to cover in terms of like disease processes that there's just not enough time to be like, this person's actually not too bad, but they want to be better. And you're like, we don't have time for that. It's like,
It's true. It's
yeah.
crazy how much you have to learn in a relatively short period of time to be in a position where you're quite literally saving someone's life.
Yeah.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's almost, that's why I'm thankful for this education that I had. And that's why I think it kept me going and still keeps me going, is because I'm like, oh, I've become a better doctor because I can
Yeah.
talk to them about all these other things. And it's not the fault of medical school, but I think it's a place that we can acknowledge that, like, hey, we just need more education on. And the good thing is we live in a world of technology and education. Like, it's so widely available. Like,
You don't have to stop learning just because you're
you don't
done.
exactly, yeah, and it's free. Like,
Yeah,
just go and it's with these experts, and if you want to deep dive in them, it's like $5 or $10 a month to get their more exclusive content.
for sure.
And it's like some of the best physicians out there or researchers or PhDs, like people that have expertise, not just random people. And you can learn from them. So I understand time is finite and everything, but I think I would recommend everyone, not just physicians, everyone to kind of take their life into their own hands and their health and take responsibility for it too. And if they, and truly, and part of that is to say, hey, I think I need a little extra help. And GLPs can be part of that. And I truly believe that. And I know I've spoken to you a lot about this, but GLPs also work in the brain. Like, it literally turns down that dopamine drive of like
Right,
feeling like, oh, I need this. Oh, I need this. You have this like
right.
small addictions, and it helps with that.
So let's dive a little bit into GLP specifically, because there's a lot of myths that I'd love to bust, and talk about the science behind it. And I think one of the main things is like my aunt was so funny when I was telling her a little bit about that gut health, like the gut brain connection,
Hmm.
and how like there is that dopamine that is the same signal that is like telling you that food noise, like, and gets that pleasure from it, overwhelmingly so to where you might overcompensate.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just kind of quiets it down so you can make good choices. And she was like, yeah, doesn't that freak you out that like there's this medicine that you're putting in your body that's gonna like affect your brain? Like, what are the long-term ramifications of it? So I guess first diving into that aspect of it,
Yeah.
where it's like in theory it sounds good, but it also potentially sounds scary.
Yeah. I mean, it's reversible, right? Like, it's not like it completely takes away all your drive. It's all dose dependent. It's kind of like anything you take in life. You want the right antibiotic with the right dosage to do what it needs to do. If you
Yeah.
take too much of it, you're going to have GI upset. You're not going to feel so good. If you take the wrong antibiotic, it's not going to treat what it needs to treat. So same thing with GLPs. Like, so it has, like during my intake, I actually do education part of it, which is that I go through and I talk about all the organ systems GLP affects, so that or makes a difference, and so that like, hey, it's not just this medication to lose weight. It actually has a whole body transformation,
Yeah.
including your inflammatory pathways. So part of that is your brain. So it does. So you have, every time you get exposed to something, your brain's like, oh, I really like this. You
Mm-hmm.
get a little like spike, and then you get enough of that, your brain actually thinks, I need this to survive.
Mm.
And you have the frontal
Like
part of your
sugar,
brain.
right?
Yeah, you have the front part of your brain, which is, like, that's where your logic and your reasoning and judgment and all of that sits. And it actually pretty much hijacks it. So you have the animalistic brain, and you have like what makes us human, which is the front part of our brain, which is reasoning, thinking, like, being able to make good decisions, avoiding temptation, things like that. But you get enough of that addictive cycle going, That's why people are like, "Oh, I know this is bad for me, but I'm doing it." You know?
Yeah.
So all
Especially with food, that's a huge one where it's
yeah.
like there's this, and not everyone can relate to this. If you know, you know. But there's this like moment I've experienced with food where it's like, especially it's either the quality of the food or it's the volume of the food.
Mhm.
And there's a certain point where I'm like, I know I should stop, but I can't explain it. It's almost like that addictive trait, if you will, where it's like until it's gone, I can't.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So that's why it's like GLPs are perfect for that. So to help your on feel better, you're not impacting your brain as much as you're just turning that noise down and decreasing that spike in dopamine. Some
Yeah,
might argue that that's actually more dangerous than what the drug does, which is just
right.
turn it down.
You know what's interesting? I was just thinking about this. There have been studies that have people have studied the brain while people eat sugar,
Yeah.
and it just sparks up more than like if you look at like an arcade game, you see how much like it's just
Mhm.
like that's like your brain's just on fire from sugar. And I think it's so interesting how like with GLPs, it turns down the noise and that freaks people out, but yet we're not freaked out by putting sugar into our bodies and the effects that, it just kind of shows what society is just so scared of helping ourselves.
I think we're scared of change or
Yeah,
scared of the unknown. That's why I do a lot of education. And that's why I like education to be like, listen, this is not just me saying it.
science.
This is the science, which, there's opinions and there's facts. So these are
Right,
facts. So I'm just like being able to say like these are the facts of what we're gonna do with your permission, like to your body. And I want you to be excited about it. I want you
right,
to be like, yes, absolutely. Give me the ability to turn down this like noise in my brain so I can make better decisions.
right.
And it's interesting you bring about sugar because, Alzheimer's is now being thought of as more sugar related.
They call it the type 3
Yep.
diabetes. I've heard this.
100%. Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking because my dad had dementia,
Hmm.
but he also before that had type 2 diabetes. And I wonder if it was like,
Yeah. Slow progression into that. So
yeah,
that should freak people out more,
yeah,
So that's a myth that we can break. It's not like your personality is gone or like it affects
yes,
your brain forever and stuff. It's more just the way I use and the protocol that I have is like I counsel you the whole time where you're like, hey, what's one habit you want to break? Soda. Okay. Now that you have this tool and this will actually give you your body's ability to kind of turn down that addiction, I want you to start rewiring your thinking. What's cool about human brain is that we have neuroplasticity, which means we grow and change and who we were 10 years ago is not who we are now and who we are now is not going to be who you are 10 years
even on
ago.
a biological level. That's
Exactly.
so cool.
Yeah. So ideally, you don't want to be the same person. You want to grow and evolve. So you have this tool and you don't just want to sit around and do nothing and have no lifestyle changes because then absolutely when you stop taking it, things are going to nothing, you've done nothing. But if you use this as a time of like introspection of like, hey, this is actually a time for me to quit X, Y, and Z. This is awesome. Like my friend who was like, I drank almost every day after work. And she was like, I knew it was a problem, but I didn't really talk to people about it. And
Mm,
she was like, now I go out and have a drink with a friend because I want to.
yeah,
I don't drink by myself. And she was like, I've never been able to control that until GLPs,
amazing.
So it's not approved for that, but there's been a lot of people that say like any addictive thing that they're struggling with, this has helped them.
That's really cool.
Hmm.
So, why is it that like some people do lose their personalities though when they go on GLPs?
That's too high of a dose. So you pretty
Okay.
much you do want some up and down of like feelings,
Dopamine,
dopamine,
yeah.
emotions, oxytocin, like all the neurotransmitters in your brain. So you don't want to completely numb yourself.
Right.
That's why it's important to work with a physician that has like monthly check-ins. And then when you're with MOOV, you actually come in to get the injections. You have weekly check-ins with the nurses.
Right.
So you're
I
able to
love
bring
that
things
part,
that,
by the way.
yeah,
I love that it's not me just doing it to myself because, like, that freaks me out a little bit,
yeah,
So, like, coming in and knowing that it's, like you said, you have the proper refrigeration here. So it's
yeah,
like, that's going to be good. And then also just making sure that it's like put in the right location. I
yeah.
thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. And the person that's doing it is done it for X over 10 years, all
Yeah.
of them. So you
Yeah.
have the comfort and you have a health person to talk to where you're like, hey, I'm just feeling this. So they're able to talk to you and counsel you, or if they think it's something that I need to know about, they're able to communicate that
And you
directly.
can always adjust the dosage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is with everything with like the gut, people talk about feeling nauseous or having
hmm
like diarrhea or constipation. Like, is there a way to avoid that with GLPs, or is that kind of something you'd have to suck it up and deal with?
No, you don't have to suck it up. So you have pretty much you have three different types of muscle in your body. You have cardiac and you have skeletal and you have smooth muscle. Your GI system is mostly like smooth muscle. And you also have what's called, like this pyloric sphincter that is pretty much you have your stomach and you have this thing and when you take GLPs, it tends to not open as much. It just slows down. The whole system slows down. So people actually end up with more constipation. But it makes people feel fuller
Hmm.
faster. You have early satiety, which is good because when people struggle with that, like, I don't stop until I feel full and it's too late, this actually gives you a feeling of fullness faster, which means you have to be smart about what you're eating.
Yeah.
Which you're only, if you're eating no longer a plate full of food, but maybe half of that, you want it to be nutritious, you want it to be high protein, you want it to be clean.
Yes.
And so that's where like that you'll be nauseous if you eat a giant steak with butter.
Right.
But if
Like
you are
no high
eating,
fatty stuff.
yeah, but if you're eating, you still want fat, but if you're eating like chicken with broccoli and vegetables that you've sauteed with some nice olive oil and nice spices, and the chicken is high quality, like chicken thighs or chicken breasts, and you're eating a lot of protein,
Yeah.
and drinking a protein shake, like you want to inject protein in small different places, and instead of eating three big meals, you're actually going to be doing 5 to 6 small meals throughout the day,
Okay.
so that you're getting the nutrition, you're getting the protein, you're getting the hydration, but you're not overexpanding your stomach and you're feeling nauseous. Another thing people experience is like gallstones. And that's from also starvation. Like you don't want to starve yourself to a point where your body just starts freaking out.
Yeah.
That's where like the hair falling. That's where
Yeah.
people lose so much muscle that their face gets kind of long and the Ozempic face,
Like
they
the
call it. Yeah.
haggard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you lose weight slowly, appropriately, like the whole
Hmm.
point is that you don't want this massive weight loss. That's never good. Your body's going to freak out.
Yeah.
You want to do slow, steady, and this is actually an opportunity to build very healthy, good habits that you can have for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I would say, like, from what I've heard, the people who I know who have struggled, it's like they haven't really changed their lifestyle. They're kind of just hoping for a magic pill.
hmm
But it's just so surprising because, like, I asked them, like, well, were you working with a physician? And they said, yeah, and it was microdosing. And they still were having, like, some of these weird side effects. But I guess you have to take the full picture into account. Like, were you really doing everything you were supposed to be
And
doing?
some people just have the nausea. And if that's the case, then if, that's what's nice about being here is that we can do vitamin B6, or we could do some hydration. We can give you some Zofran. We can get you feeling better in other ways, which,
Yeah.
if you're feeling really dehydrated for whatever reason, we have other things that we can give you just to get over it. Some people do have the experiences of some nausea or some, abdominal discomfort, just like just as your body gets used to it. But we can titrate the dose. We have medications we can give you. We can do changes with food as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really intriguing, because it's obviously so awesome to see people who I've known who struggled for so long. But it's like at the same time, it's like nobody wants to lose their hair. Nobody wants to lose their personality and nobody wants to like be super sick. So I think it's like one of the things that I was really fascinated by working with you specifically was that you said you tend to have people, what's the right word? Toggle off it. It's not really
Mhm.
the right word, but
Like titrate off and on. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. So what's the thought process behind that?
So I want to be able to like avoid super high doses. Some people might require it, and that's fine. Like I said, every person's different. So you treat every person as like first step that I do is I get to know them, their goals. What do they struggle with? What is their childhood struggles? What is their current struggles? Do they work out every day? Is this something that's important to them? Do they want to have a big change in their diet, or are they like, just kind of leave me alone, just give me the meds? I want to treat you for exactly who you are. I obviously want to motivate you and try to get you to a better place, but I also am not going to like force someone into it. So the first step is I get to know them for exactly who they are. And the second step is like the ongoing counseling and things like that,
Yeah.
which I think would be kind of interesting. So I could do a quick thing about HRT. So hormone replacement therapy, obviously we've heard it so much about men, not as much for women. There was actually this study that came out quite a long time ago, which has, now been pretty much said like it's caused a lot of harm because it wasn't statistically analyzed appropriately, and it made people feel like if women started HRT, that they could have higher risk for cancers. So a lot of people actually struggled and suffered silently. And there's been this huge counter push now that like, hey, this study was actually really poor, and the downsides of not starting people on hormones is actually worse than the upside. So even if there's any risk, even if it's minuscule, 1,000 times better people benefit from starting HRT. And that sounds like a confusing sentence. Let me clarify. So start having appropriate hormone replacement, especially for perimenopausal, menopausal women, decreases the risk for osteoporosis, you know, disease processes, falls. They're able to kind of function better in society, less depression, less anxiety, less UTIs.
Oh, wow.
As women get older, you actually get vaginal atrophy and atrophy about everything down there, and that increases risk for UTIs. And you actually have small little receptors in your female urethra that have testosterone receptors to it. So you obviously aren't putting people on physiological doses for men. You're doing it for very, very low doses for women. Believe it or not, women, us right now, have testosterone in our body. It's just
Yeah,
very small amounts. So
right.
you want to replace that on top of, the estrogen and the progesterone as well in the right quantities. And it's life-changing for people. I'm really excited. I didn't start with that service yet, just because I wanted to kind of do a slow rollout.
For
But
sure.
starting in March, for sure, I'll be offering HRT. So I am really excited to offer, obviously testosterone replacement for men. That's easy. I feel like that's so talked about in society, but really being able to offer the full gamut of HRT for women. So that's estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and being able to use small, tiny bits of it and being able to cycle as needed. So it's like the lowest amount that they need to get back to being able to sleep well, not have the hot flashes, not have to go through this like really terrible,
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, I mean, in the end of the day, health is such a variable, like through the different, seasons of our life, especially as a woman, it's like you finally get to this sweet spot and then there comes perimenopause and then there
Mm-hmm.
comes menopause. And so it's like, I think it's so awesome that we're in a space with health and wellness where we can have a more qualitative life.
Yeah.
You don't have to completely break apart and break down. Like there's a way to
Yeah.
like age gracefully.
One of the insights I've had, going into this is like you don't have to be sick to benefit from medicine, and you don't have to be sick
That's
to benefit from a
huge.
physician. So much of what we offer everywhere, not just in this country, is sick care. Just because we need to. Like we need to be able
Yeah.
to take care of people that are sick. But I love this new conversation of like how do we make ourselves the best version we can be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, it's really interesting because like in your 20s, sometimes we tend to treat our bodies like trash,
Yeah.
whether you're just, partying, drinking, or maybe you're just like not you have a killer metabolism, so you're just feeding your body junk that's really not that
Hmm.
great for you. You're keeping crazy hours and going out with your friend and living your life because you're only young once. And then there's also maybe you're just killing it stress wise because like you are trying to climb the corporate ladder, let's say, or you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to make things work. And
Hmm.
so your 30s is like your late 20s already. Like I'm 29, like I'll be 30 in a few months. You can already start to see the results of not taking care of your body. And you're like, oh, maybe I do need to be in bed by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Maybe I do not feel that great if I don't drink enough water. Like your body starts to be very responsive really fast.
Hmm.
And I heard something interesting recently where they were talking about with millennials that with our generation is having the funniest type of midlife crisis ever because our midlife crisis is I think I should run a half marathon Or maybe I should go on GLP, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's all
Yeah.
about like longevity and wellness and how can we be healthier. So,
I think because we've seen also the downstream effects of the generation before
yeah.
of not taking care of themselves, because that was a generation that didn't know that like the food industries absolutely demolished food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I see my in-laws, my parents didn't grow up here, so they don't have the same influence of like the big food.
Like
But
pharma and all that. Yeah.
yeah, like the amount of like sugar that's been pumped into some of this food, the lack of nutrition, the
Mm,
absolute garbage that's put out there by some of these big food companies. And it was the previous generation that got really the tail end of it. It's like my
yeah.
in-laws that I see it on. And then, so I think you see the downstream effects where you're like, man, these people got really sick. And then our generation, thank God for social media, internet, there's so much information travels so quickly. So people are like, hey, this food is actually garbage. Now everyone knows, you
Yeah.
know. Before it was like, it was so hard to disseminate information. So I think we are lucky to be in a place where like we have all this information and we can learn and things like that. But, um, yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons that we're just like, now that you know better, you want to be better, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because once you have that knowledge, but actually, I do have a question
Yeah.
about GLPs going back because this was something people have brought up to me,
Yeah.
which is like talking from the science and the study perspective, what are the long-term effects?
So there's not really much long-term effects in terms of like bad effects. It just depends on how you treated your body during it. Like if you had massive fast weight loss, regardless of GLPs, you're going to have skin that are sagging or, loss of muscle tone. So that could be a long-term effect.
Yeah.
I guess if you didn't really learn too much about like how you want to eat or exercise or anything like that, I guess the long-term effect would be like you could regain the weight back. The positive long-term effect is that your body is now like what your body feels like, not inflamed. You know what your body does when you eat appropriately and treat it well and exercise well. So I guess there's no like defined long-term effects that's outside of if you treated your body poorly, but that's like just regardless of medication.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying like there's no, as of now, there's
As of
no,
now, there's no documented like you take this, you have this
it's
later.
caused some sort of health issue that's been a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also so many people take such small doses these days. Like it's just I would be very surprised for it to cause long-term effect that we
Yeah.
haven't seen already because it's been on the
Yeah.
market for a long period of time. I know the craze is now, but this has been on the market for decades and people have used it for a long time. It's just become, I think celebrities started using it more, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's become so popular. But these aren't like brand new medications that's just out. These have been in the market for a very long time. So we're not really seeing like things that are like super scary by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Hmm.
And also, yeah, I think we just have to take into account like are people abusing it, right? Because I
Hmm.
really liked when we had our initial conversation, you were saying like the drug itself is not the problem. It's how it's being
Marketed and
marketed and then
used. Yeah.
also used and also like are you using it as a quick fix or are you using it as like a kickstart and a booster to already good habits?
Yeah.
You know, it's all
Exactly.
gonna affect who
Yeah.
you are. I'm curious to know because I did have a friend who she was on it for, and obviously I probably don't have enough information for you to give a accurate diagnosis, but she was on it for about a year. She lost 25 pounds, which she was really happy about. But then she kind of like plateaued, and that's why she chose to go off it.
Yeah.
Was that a common?
Yeah. You can plateau because I mean, it depends on what her body habit was before.
Hmm.
If she only had about 25 pounds to lose, and if her evolved, if she'd gotten one before, after, showed that she's improving where she needs to, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you've achieved your goal. It's okay, then to
Yeah.
come off of it. Yeah. But if you wanted to lose more weight at that point, then you might have to either increase your dose or if you don't want to do that, you can come off of it, see how you feel, get your body kind of back to not having it in your system, and then come on it again, a lower
Right. So it's
dose.
almost like your body's used to it at that point. Maybe you need a little break.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, your brain's very fascinating. It can get used to things very enough exposure, your body can get used to anything. So
Yeah.
you just, that's why I really try to focus on using this as a tool to have lifestyle changes. So you are able to cycle off of it and you can always cycle back on
Yeah.
at low doses again, which is great.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that you came on today.
Oh,
And
thank
I'm
you.
so grateful for this conversation. I'm excited. I think we should do a part two when I'm further along in my GLP
That sounds
journey.
awesome.
I think
Yeah.
it'd be really cool to, from a personal perspective, be like, here's what's going on. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think
That'd be
that'd be
cool.
awesome.
I would love to have a
That I did want to ask you,
yeah.
was there anything else? I know we covered a lot today.
Hmm.
Was there anything that we haven't covered that you still wanted to talk about?
Um, I think I was just going to talk about like all the services, just like a quick rundown of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's so interesting, it's like part of our conversation is going to be actually if you're down for it, I would love to do a VO2 on you. Like it'll be on the house, but
Okay.
VO2 is when you push your body to its maximum point. So pretty much you're on a assault bike and you're increasing your watts
What do
every
you
1 minute.
what do you do when you're on it?
You just bike, you just exercise, but you have a mask on.
Oh,
So it'll give you a full rundown of what's going on inside your body.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I think I've seen Josh
Yes.
post about this.
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
do that before you do your GLPs, because now that you've done your labs, I can start you on GLPs anytime. The
Okay.
recommendation is that, get labs and then you do the GLPs. So we can just let's get schedule a time for you to do the VO2.
Okay.
What he's talking about, he had more cardio, right? Like people, you actually don't need to work out at high enough intensity. You actually need to work out more in zone two. And
Mm.
VO2 actually will tell you exactly what your zone two is, which is like your heart rate, where to keep your heart rate to lose the maximum amount of fat.
You know what's interesting? When I went to urgent care, for those of you who are wondering, why I'm wearing glasses for the first time in 70. This is the first time I've worn my glasses in 2 years on the podcast. It's because my contact broke in my eye and I had to go to urgent care to get
Yeah.
it taken out. And of course, they do the typical, like they check your blood pressure and all that. And it turns out she was like, your heart rate's really low. Is that normal? And I was like, I've been told that I have a pretty slow resting heart rate.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where your zones are,
Yeah.
especially as you start your GLP journey.
I'm curious to just
Yeah.
learn about my body and how it works. And that's why I'm so excited. Like, it's so cool to me. This feels like such a full circle moment because I think when Will and I at a certain point had, like, I don't know if it was by his podcast or it was shortly after, and he was telling me about you and that you're going to be coming in here and like everything that you were doing. And I was like, that's some new agey shit. I'm like, I'm not gonna do none of that.
Yeah.
I was so like, no GLPs, no shots, no IVs for me.
And here you are getting an IV.
This is why anyone who knows me knows don't listen to a thing that I say.
Well, no, I think that's a good lesson of just like being open to new things. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, it's okay to be skeptical. I think as human beings, it's actually very natural and healthy to be skeptical of
Oh,
new things.
yeah.
Um,
I never thought I'd go into GLP because I was like, it's cheating. That was first
mhm.
of all. I was like, that's cheating. I'm like, and I told you, I was like, until I get to a place where I'm doing everything right and then I'm still not losing weight, I'm not going on a GLP. And then, it got to a point where it was just like, okay, I'm losing my momentum. Like
Mhm.
it's hard to keep going with a healthy lifestyle if you're not seeing results, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think, like I said, you're going to be on such low doses. It's just to help that your body feel you're not just using it to not eat, quote unquote, because you're still going to be eating.
Yeah,
You're using it to also decrease your inflammation. Like you
which
have
is
to remember
huge.
that.
And
Like,
I don't feel like at home in my own body.
yeah.
That's like this whole journey, even though I joke about being skinny and all these things, like it's really more about like I just want to feel at home in my own body.
Yeah.
I want to feel my best.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Um, Let me go through all the services really
Let's
quick,
do
and then you
it.
can just kind of cut it in wherever.
Yeah.
So at MOOV, the services I'll be offering are GLPs, microdose option as well, peptides. So peptides are great as we age, your growth hormone goes down, so it actually helps you increase your growth hormone either secretion or production, and it helps with healing. It helps with being able to sleep better at night. It also helps women with menopausal symptoms is like the first step of it. I'll be offering IV fluids, obviously, including NAD infusions and subcutaneous injections, intramuscular injections, so vitamin D, B12, lipomino, which is like a fat burner shot, VO2, which is a mask that you put on, and it actually it calculates how much oxygen you're breathing out compared to breathing in, and it is able to say how much mitochondria you have in your body and what lifestyle choices you need to kind of make to increase your mitochondria and by definition your muscle in your body. Evolt, which is body composition, and I will be offering gut health, to see how inflamed your gut is, how you can change things, doing a deep dive into that, being able to also do hormone replacement therapy, and then microneedling is going to be like the one step into aesthetics. So those are all the really cool
Microneedling?
things.
Wait, can we break down what microneedling is for a
Yeah.
second?
So microneedling is just small, tiny needles that prick your skin that create this kind of micro damage and causes your skin to just increase collagen production. And it increases collagen production from like 200% to
And
400%
it helps with like
naturally.
acne.
Yep, it helps with scarring, helps
Mm,
with stretch marks. It helps with just increasing your collagen so people feel like it's fuller. It helps with the wrinkles.
you're
It's
gonna be
great.
sick of me.
No. I mean, I'm happy for you to use, all these services. It's here for
Yeah.
people to use, but that is going to be, I think, one of the more popular things that we offer. And of course, it's also administered by a registered nurse in a very clean environment. So that's going to be all the new services that are coming on. But by the time the podcast comes out, they'll all be pretty much live. So if people want to learn more, feel free to reach out to me through socials. It's Dr. Priyanka underscore SDL or move St. Louis. Those are the two socials that I have. Feel free to reach out there. You have also the office number that I'll share that you're able to use. Or you can just go online, move STL. You can just search for that, go to book now and do a virtual consult. I also have kind of like initial labs. If you're like, I don't know if I want any of these meds, but I just want to get my labs checked, I'm happy to just meet with you and just do initial set of labs that includes B12, iron, ferritin, vitamin D, just kind of a deep dive, comprehensive metabolic panel, complete blood count, so I can really see kind of what's going on, and we can just discuss it and go from there. And if you want to check your hormones, we can do that too.
I
It's
love it.
whatever, we can kind of discuss your health goals. And if you don't want to do any medications, we can just start with labs and see how you feel.
I love it. This is
Okay.
so cool. This has been so informative.
Yay. Good. I'm
Before we
glad.
wrap up,
Yeah.
I have this tradition. So the basis of this whole podcast is
Yeah.
that everyone has a story, right? So there's this Hebrew quote which is Isa hu chacham halamimi kol adam, which means one who is wise is one who learns from everyone.
Oh, yes. I love it.
And we have
Yeah.
learned so much from you.
Good. I'm
And we
glad.
really brushed just the surface because I know there's a lot going on in here, and you're always learning, so we got to keep up with you. I would also highly recommend following both of her Instagram accounts. I will link them below because it's so informative. I
Oh,
learned
thank
so
you.
much. I've really been enjoying following you.
Oh, good. I'm
So more
glad.
than just like our conversations, I feel like I want to bookmark and save for later so I can like
Yay.
scroll through and read.
Okay.
But if you had to pick your favorite life lesson or quote, what would it be?
And this can be just like my lesson for myself, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So this is this is kind of how I approach life. Like if there's something that's really fascinates me, and especially if I'm bad at it, I really enjoy being bad at something because which means I have room to improve.
love that.
Um, so if I can put in a chest tube, I can figure this out. If I can figure out blank. So for instance, like I was like, "Oh man, I really don't know how to do social media." Or like, "Oh my gosh, I'm learning this whole new set of medicine," right? I finished med school, residency. I mean, it's college, med school, residency. It's like 12 years of education. Am I going to go and do education again? And it's like, yes, but if I didn't know how to do a chest tube, but if I figured it out, now it's one of my favorite procedures. It helps people, it saves people's lives. I do it quite often in the emergency department. Same with like putting people on a breathing machine, right? Like these skills at one point I did not know how to do, but I figured it out. Well, if I could do that, I could do X. So that's like usually the quote that if I'm like, if I can't figure out something, I'm like, well, if I figured, I can put it in a chest tube. I can figure this out.
Truly.
You just need practice. You just need dedication, and you just need to try it over and over again. Repetition. Some people require more repetition than others.
Yep.
You just keep doing it until your brain goes, okay, I get it.
That's the beautiful thing about experiences is like as we get older, we have more experiences, more examples to look back on and say, I mean, for the majority of us, we haven't put a chest tube in and we won't be putting a chest tube in. But it's like I have a lot of experiences where I'm like, everything's figured outable. Just like you said, if I could do that, I could do this.
100%. Yeah, it's just like the chest tube is just an example. So for
Yeah.
every person, there's something that they did that they were like terrified about
Yeah.
earlier in their life, but then they did it and now they feel good about it and they use that skill every day. So like if you could figure that out, you could figure out X.
Literally.
Yeah.
This has been so great.
Oh, yay.
I love talking with you. This
Oh,
is
I
so
love
much
talking
fun.
with you too.
And that's not just the mutual talking. Like
Yeah.
this is awesome. So thank you
Good.
so much. And it's
You're
so
welcome.
funny because like my IV is like just about done.
Woo.
So that timing was
Yeah.
perfect.
So you had a 22 gauge. So
Okay.
in medicine or in IV, so the higher the number you go, the tinier the needle,
Okay.
which means also lower the flow because it's a tiny, tiny needle.
Mm.
So I had a 20, so that's why it went faster.
I also was cutting it off at one point.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize I'm not supposed to fold my arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Cool.
new experiences. Your first podcast, my first IV. Well, guys, this has been another fabulous episode. Thank you so much for listening or watching. And if you are not currently watching, the video is on Spotify or YouTube. And if you are not subscribed on YouTube, what are you doing with your life? Go subscribe. That is where I'm trying to grow this channel the most. And please share this episode with a friend who you think can benefit. I hope you guys have a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.